We are on the Hideaway Farm's Johnny Cash's Getaway, and we're sitting in a room that's dedicated to Elvis right now, kind of a museum-type room with memorabilia. Apparently the closet where his famous gold suit was hung.
This is the Faith and Family Filmmakers Podcast, helping filmmakers who share a Christian worldview stay in touch, informed, and inspired. Quiet on set. Rolling. Today's host is Geoffrey Whitt.
Hey there, this is Jeff, and I'm excited to be here today, back on the Faith and Family Filmmakers Podcast with Dr. Joel Bunkowske. Welcome, Joel.
Welcome. I feel welcome.
Well, you've been on our podcast before. In fact, I believe, if I remember correctly, you told us at that time that you were kind of making the premiere announcement about this new 3-day studios and your plan for Prairie Winds.
Yeah, absolutely.
And here we are on set.
Yes.
Half a day left of filming for principal photography.
Yep.
So I'll say, because I intend to have a few interviews in the next couple of days, but this is the first one I'm actually recording. We are on the Hideaway Farm's Johnny Cash's Getaway, and we're sitting in a room that's dedicated to Elvis right now, kind of a museum-type room with memorabilia. Apparently the closet where his famous gold suit was hung.
That's correct. Yeah, absolutely.
So let's go back, talk about how we ended up here, because I know it's a part of how Prairie Winds came to be even. How did we end up on this location?
Only God. So I work with Hank Irwin, and Hank has a nonprofit that is dedicated to revival, the Great American Prayer Revival. And so I'm on that board, and somehow, and I'm not exactly sure how, but Brian and Sally Oxley, who own this property, came to one of our prayer meetings. And they were there, and we talked to them quite a bit. And I found out that they actually are missionary kids, like I'm a missionary kid, born and raised in Nigeria and West Africa. And Brian was born and raised in Japan, and Sally was born and raised in China. And so we have that kind of missional background. And we were visiting out here. Actually, George Escobar was here with me, my co-founder, writer-director for Prairie Winds. And they had plans to do an event with the actors from Little House on the Prairie.
Yes.
And it had been 40 years since Little House on the Prairie. They were doing a big event, and they had asked the actors to come out, and the actors had agreed to come out. And somehow, in the last minute, the actors decided they weren't going to show up for that event.
Mm-hmm.
So that came up while we were over in Johnny Cash's house, in his kind of study area. And we were just talking about it. And when they said that, something struck me. And so I looked over at George and I said, what if we did a version, a really strong Christian version of Little House on the Prairie? And so George said, yeah, that sounds like a great idea immediately. So we were right there together, and we shared with Brian and Sally that evening our thoughts. What if we did a Christian version of a kind of a Little House on the Prairie, I guess inspired by Little House on the Prairie, right here on the Johnny Cash farm? And so I said, I'm going to take a vote. How many people and think that's a great idea? Well, we all raised our hands. All four of us raised our hands. And so the adventure started. And we started looking into the possibility of actually getting the rights to Little House on the Prairie. But the more we looked into it, it'd been 40 years. There'd been a lot of starts and stops, and people had tried to make a new version of Little House on the Prairie. And we thought about it. We just said, that just sounds like a lot of red tape. And as an entertainment attorney, I was thinking that IP, it's going to be very expensive.
Yes.
It was going to be very difficult to get that through. People have been trying to do it for 40 years and haven't been able to. And so, George and I started talking. We like, well, nobody owns the prairie.
Yep.
No one owns the 1870s. That's Americana.
Mm-hmm.
So why don't we just write our own, maybe inspired by, but different IP, a different concept? And so we just started working on that, and we worked out story. And then George started writing the first draft of the script. And almost, I think, maybe a year later, we'd been talking to people and letting people know what we're doing, kind of this inspired by Little House on the Prairie show. And I think word got back to the folks from Little House on the Prairie.
Oh, yeah.
And somehow, after 40 years, they decided they were going to come back and do the new show with Netflix.
Yeah.
So that was really interesting. And at first, wow, after 40 years, we announce, and then, within a reasonable time thereafter, suddenly they're doing the Netflix version. And I just thought, well, the odds are they're not going to do a full-on version that speaks the name of Jesus Christ.
Yes.
And so we've already got our own IP. We have our own characters, our own storylines. Nothing that happened on Prairie Winds, our Little House on the Prairie, is in Prairie Winds.
Of course,
It's
yeah.
completely different.
Yeah.
And so we just started working on the script, and spent a lot of time polishing. I always say a film is never better than the script.
That's
And
true.
Many people write their first script,
Mm-hmm.
and that's that.
Mm-hmm.
When they go into production, they make their film.
Yep.
And as an entertainment attorney, I see lots and lots of these first scripts, and they're just, they don't take the time to really polish and work on the script. We had over, I think, 100 people read it and give back notes. And now we've just finished shooting. Actually, we have only half a day left, and you were here doing sound
Mm-hmm.
on the whole thing.
Yep.
So thank you, Jeff, for
Thank you
being
for
part of the family.
allowing me to be a part of it. It's been an honor.
Yeah, well, it's been an honor to have you, and love Faith and Family Filmmakers Association, and we have T-shirts, right?
Yes.
With Faith and Family Filmmakers Association on the front, and Prairie Winds,
3-day studios on the back.
On the back.
Mhm.
So it's such a beautiful family to have the same intent and the same purpose. And on script 10.5, which means 10 major rewrites, and in between lots of tweaks.
Yeah.
There's probably really 50 rewrites if you counted all of them.
Yeah.
All of the small and large rewrites. But we felt it is time, and we're ready to go. And so we just prayed to the Lord and said, we're ready to make the film.
So all this time later, which actually hasn't been that long, since I know you made that announcement and you were on our podcast, what has it been? It's been is it more than a year?
Probably not more than needed.
Probably, yeah, certainly not much more.
No.
All the way through to obviously all the pre-production and actually filming. So we've been here for 3 weeks.
Yeah.
What's it been like?
Well, it's been great. Actually, some people came a week early, so it's actually
Yes.
a month now, and we're going into a month and a couple days total here on the Johnny Cash Farm. And I'll ask you, what do you think about filming on the Johnny Cash Farm?
It's been quite an experience. Well, for one thing, it's almost like a summer camp type thing, because a large portion of perhaps most, if not all of the crew are actually staying here on the farm. Some of the cast, not, of course. Most are from out of state. And so we've got kind of like a dormitory set up for the men. And then inside Johnny Cash's house, there are rooms that have been set up to house all the women. And there's a big barn structure. It's really cool. We all eat there together and have church every Sunday together, have devotions every morning together. So it's been a very unique experience.
Yeah, and very intentional. I think there are really two kinds of filmmakers in the Christian world. There's filmmakers who happen to be Christians, and there are Christians who utilize filmmaking very strategically to spread the gospel of Jesus Christ.
Mm-hmm.
And I think they are two different kinds of people, and one's not better, one's not worse, but we specifically sought out everybody who we had to have both the heart for missions and ministry and the talent to be able to do the work with excellence. Mm-hmm. And it was more difficult than I thought to find that. In fact, I think we had first had zero crew from Nashville, Tennessee, which there are tons and tons of people in film.
Yeah, the industry's growing around here.
And same thing with a lot of the cast came from all over the U.S., but the crew specifically, we brought in people all the way from New York to L.A. to Florida and just and even Canada. Mm-hmm. So we've had to really seek out crew that was really mission oriented as well as had the skill set. And I think it was really probably for me the best choice, because the culture and the joy of the mission and the ministry, and this is not deluxe. I'm a missionary. I'm used to missions, and I said, you're going to have to think of this as going on a mission trip. If you're going on a mission trip to Africa, what are you thinking? Are you think you're going to be pampered and it's going to be deluxe hotels and the whole 9 yards? Or are you going for that missional purpose? Because this is our, if you'd say, the pilot, the first, the beginning. And at the beginning, you go out and you're raising money. I'm raising money as an attorney. I'm saying, I would love you to invest. And I really don't ask anybody. I just kind of tell people what I'm doing. And then some say, well, how can I help? And I say, well, if you'd like to invest, you can. But my real goal is to give it away for free.
Yeah. And
so you're an investor and you're like, you want me to invest in your film and you want to give it away for free. How does that work? And I think a lot of The Chosen, how they had that pay it forward concept,
right?
And trusting God and realizing that God, the Bible is really clear. It says, seek ye first the kingdom of God and his righteousness. All these things will be added to you. Mm-hmm. And he promises that if we go on his mission, if we do what he's asked to do, he will give us everything that we need. And he has. The challenge is for some people, they aren't comfortable with enough.
Right.
God will always give you enough on your mission. Mm-hmm. But he often doesn't give you excess or more than enough or give it to you in advance.
Right.
He keeps us in this trusting relationship. I think of it as, you're going to war or whatever, you're going to do this mission, this ministry, and God is saying, I want to choose the right people. If God blesses us, this is going to be a 5-year adventure. This is a series of films. So I think it's been done several times. They maybe have 2 or 3 films where the end of one film becomes the beginning of the next film, kind of like Lord of the Rings and things like that. We have 20 features.
You didn't make your film just to upload it and hope someone notices. At Rediscover Backlot, we're building a new pathway for independent filmmakers, one that goes beyond a single release and creates long-term momentum. Imagine a place where your audience can follow your project from script to screen, where premieres become launch pads, and where filmmakers, fans, and distributors connect inside one growing ecosystem. With Rediscover Premiere, The Backlot, and revenue-sharing opportunities built around audience engagement, we're helping purpose-driven filmmakers build sustainable careers, not just finish films. If you're tired of shouting into the void after release, it's time to think differently. Visit rediscoverbacklot.com to to join the movement.
Okay, so I was wanting to give you an opportunity to get into the future plans. I've been hearing them, of course, around here the last few days, so give us all the details.
We've written the first one, which we just filmed. We've written the last one. In between, we have plotted out. And so the concept is really to be a series of feature films.
Okay.
And so again, the end of film 1 and the beginning of film is like the next day of film 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, all the way through 20. And you have the opportunity when you do that that way with 2 opportunities. One, we can be in theaters a lot because we're making full-length features. If you just do a series, now you have 50 minutes.
Yes.
And you have this challenge like House of David and The Chosen they both had this challenge. It's like, we want to go in theaters, but we have 50-minute episodes. So we're going to take in theaters and you're going to watch 2 episodes, 250 back to back. And that's going to be your theatrical experience. And it's good. But I think, what if it was a true theatrical, 110-minute version that was written specifically to fulfill that theatrical format.
Right.
And then it's still series-wise, so you can watch film after film after film after film and ultimately binge 20 feature films and have this amazing adventure on the prairie in the 1870s.
Yeah. I think sometimes they used to be called a miniseries, where it has a beginning, it has an ending, but they're all separate stories all along the way.
And really, it's going to be the same stories, just continuing on their journey. I think there's a secular show called Lost.
Yes.
And I learned a lot from, my wife was a fan of it, and so she had me watch it.
Yeah.
I learned, there are Easter eggs where there's one thing in the first episode and then you don't see anything till episode 20, and suddenly that thing that was put there in the first episode now makes great sense. And then they have flashbacks where you can go into a character's background. How did that antagonist get to where they are? Or, why are they the way they are? And so we can use those same storytelling devices that were so effective on Lost and bring them into our characters as we move forward. And each film, we're expanding the scale and the scope of the film. We're really working on this new storyline for Prairie Winds 2, George and I, where we just take things to an amazing, expansive space that really probably has never been done in Christian film before in this kind of space. I would say the only other thing that really is in that space is House of David. Right. And so, we love John Irwin and what he's doing. Obviously, Hank, his dad, is an executive producer on our film. And we're able to really kind of see what he's been pioneering. And we do it a little differently, how we do it. But really, it's very much the same concept of what he did with House of David, except for we're taking it out of the biblical space and putting it into a Western, a sweeping cinematic Western on the prairie, which you can't get more American than that.
Yeah, and of course it's a family series. Not enough of that stuff made anymore, where by family I mean literally for the whole family, suitable for kids. And families used to love being able to sit and watch stuff together. And there's just so little of it that everybody can enjoy.
And really what brought us to it is that my wife and I, we like to watch a little TV before we go to bed. That's kind of our thing. Kids are in bed, we take a little bit of me time. Because I'm, busy practicing law, working on 3D Studios, the studio, and helping a lot of other filmmakers make their films as well. And so I'm busy, and Susan, my wife, is busy with the kids and all of that stuff. But so we take our time, and we binge watch House of David. We binge watch The Chosen, and then we said, what's next? And we wanted a wholesome family where you can be edified. The name of Jesus Christ is integral part of it. And also, it's a great adventure. that you could, we can take us away from our day to day before you go to sleep. And there are other series, there's Christian series, there's all kinds of different stuff out of there. But we also want it to be at the quality level of House of David and the adventure level of House of David. And kind of this, we thought, wow, the West, the 1870s, the prairie. I just thought that was the perfect vehicle, partially because in the 1870s in the West, there would be a pastor. That would be authentic.
Yeah.
If you have a tornado coming through, if you have, difficult situations, that are happening, maybe disease or all these different things that I think people would be praying to God. And so when you put Jesus Christ, in a series like that, it doesn't feel forced. In fact, I would say if you had a Western and you didn't have Jesus and you didn't have the pastor and you didn't have that part, you probably are purposely trying not to be authentic. And so I think the authenticity of the reality of what is America and where did America come from and what are the foundations of this country and what was happening in the 1870s. If you really want to be honest, you put that in there and it won't be pasted on, if you will.
Right.
It won't be preachy. And what I mean by not preachy is that instead of telling you what you should believe or how you see, you're watching a story of how someone goes through hardship and how faith is integrated naturally into their life. And I think that, there's nothing new under the sun. Hardship is real everywhere we go, disease, difficulties, and humans are humans, whether it's 1870s or whether it's right now. And so I think there's so much richness that we can learn from our characters on Prairie Winds, and families will love it because there's nothing that you could play Prairie Winds in church on Sunday.
Right.
No cussing, no cleavage, no kissing, and there's love and romance, but it's wholesome in the right way.
Right. And not only suitable for children, as I said, but there's, children play a key role in the story. They're an integral part of the story. So that's cool.
Yeah. Emma is our lead. She's a young girl who becomes a missionary. And so she's a missionary out on the prairie, and she has a grandpa who's the pastor, one of the pastors, and so she feels that calling, and it's beautiful to watch her grow in her faith.
Well, it's going to be exciting to see the progression. 20 films, we're saying. It's a big undertaking.
It's massive.
And I encourage our listeners to find out everything you can. For now, where can they go to stay up to date on what's happening with Prairie Winds?
Yeah. 3daysstudios.com. So 3 days with an S, 3daysstudios.com. And it was so great. We put out our 2-day teaser trailer. We'd come together and we'd film, and we put that out there. And we've had, I think, 650,000 views on 3 Day Studios since we did that. And before that, there was like nothing. Hardly, you'd have a few hundred views. And then suddenly you're well over 500,000 views just from the teaser trailer. And so the traction that we've got from that teaser trailer, we see what will happen and what we can do as we start to release. I believe it's going to be exponential, actually.
So 3daysstudios.com, is that what you just said?
Yes.
That's where people can go to learn more. And is there like a mailing list or something there that they can sign up for to be updated?
We've got a guild. We're building a guild, which is people who are interested in kind of being a part of the journey. A lot of the guild were people that we asked to read the script and give us feedback. And, just pray for what we're doing and all the new stuff that comes up, they get to be a part of that guild. And also, as we begin to release, the view really is to do what's called a freemium, and which means that is completely free.
Mm-hmm.
Anybody can watch it. We don't want to stop the gospel of Jesus Christ from going forward, but for those who feel like, wow, I would love to support it, I'd love more people, we're asking, to get kind of a premium, maybe behind the scenes, see it first or whatever. And we haven't completely, but our thought is just, you can donate $5 per month
Mm-hmm.
to be a part of that guild, to be a part of that freemium space. And that helps us obviously make it. And so it's like $50 for a year. And that really, it's just helping us make
Mm-hmm.
the next version and the next version and the next version. And we're trusting God that enough people will be willing to make that 100% tax deductible $5 donation per month, that we'll be able to keep it free and spread the gospel.
Yeah, and did I understand that's not set up right now, but it's your plan? Is that what
We have the app actually.
Okay.
is done and it's ready to go. And the only reason we've been holding back a little bit
Mm-hmm.
is that we wanted to have the content available so that people really could get excited
Yeah.
about the adventure
Yeah.
with us.
Yep.
So that's everything in God's good time,
Mhm.
but everything's prepared, everything's ready to go. And we would also love to be in theaters. So we're talking with people, about getting us into theaters. I think it's inevitable for us to be in theaters, but the one thing I don't want to do is give away any right that will limit
Right.
us to be able to reach as many people as possible.
Mhm.
I'm a missionary first, born and raised in Nigeria and on the mission field. It is mission driven. We want to spread the gospel of Jesus Christ. And I think so many people, like I said, over 500,000, 650,000 or something at this point, have already been so excited about Prairie Winds that we believe that as we make this series of films with excellence, that God will bring forward significant, my goal is at release, as we, start sharing pieces, that we would have 10 million fans before we actually release them.
Wow.
It's a big ask,
Mm-hmm.
but I figure if we could get as many, over 500,000 just with the teaser trailer, if we just continue to share the mission and the ministry and the excellence of what we're doing, that I believe that that's not a difficult, House of David's been seen by 75 million people.
It's crazy numbers.
The Chosen,
Mm-hmm.
I think, has
Wow.
been seen 770 million episode views.
Yeah.
So when I say 10 million versus 770 million episode views,
Yep.
that shows you that people really do want high quality
Yes.
Christian content. And it's very difficult to do because it's more expensive. It takes time. It takes excellence in crew, excellence in cast, excellence in writing, excellence in distribution. So I always say with all my clients, you have to fire on all cylinders,
That's right.
from a great script,
Yeah.
great production, great distribution, great marketing. If you have it all,
Mm-hmm.
you do that all with excellence, the odds of success is almost 98%. It's almost guaranteed that you'll succeed. Now, if you miss on any one of those, it goes from like 98% guaranteed down to like 2%. It's like, it's binary. It's either you're going to succeed and just have a massive impact, or you're going to have almost no impact.
Yeah. Well, Dr. Joel Bunkowske, producer, and I believe I would be saying correctly, co-creator. Would that be what you would?
George and I are the
Yep.
co-creators
Yeah.
of Prairie Winds.
Mhm.
And George is the writer, director, and I'm the producer.
Yes. Well, I'll thank you for what you've done, what you're doing. I appreciate it. I'm sure millions of people will appreciate it.
Had the grace of God.
And also, I thank you. It has been a great set. Wonderful people, good environment, great cast, great crew, and a good experience. And again, I thank you personally for allowing me to be a part of it. I appreciate it.
Thank you. Thank you so much for being part of the family. And I know that your wonderful wife is going to be a part of it as well, and already is, because we've already been involved with Faith and Family Filmmakers Association, and we will continue to be a part of your family, and we're just thrilled that you're part of ours.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much for taking this moment to share, and we'll encourage our listeners and our association to stay in touch with 3 Day Studios and what's happening with Prairie Winds.
Amen. God bless everybody out there, and thank you so much for your support, not only for Prairie Winds, 3 Day Studios, but for Faith and Family Filmmakers Association. They're so important to what we do.
Thank you.
Thanks for listening to the Faith and Family Filmmakers Podcast. If you've been enjoying this podcast, take a moment to follow or subscribe on your favorite podcast player so you don't miss an episode. And if you'd like to support the production of this podcast, you can leave a tip at faffpodcast.com/support. Bringing filmmakers together for faith and family.